So you need some supper ideas. I've got you covered. Today I'm going to share with you 3 of my family's favorite dinners, and don't tell them I said this, but they're a little bit picky. So if they like them, I'm sure your family will like them too. And the bonus is they only take 30 minutes of prep time, so it's not a whole lot to get these meals onto the table. Let's go ahead and start cooking. For the first recipe, I'm using boneless, skinless chicken breast that I've cut up into smaller, almost like tenderloin sizes, and I'm pounding it out just so that it is an even thickness for even cooking. And then I'm using this seasoning. This is a brown sugar bourbon that my sister-in-law told me about. I got it from Walmart, and we really love the flavor. It has a little bit of a kick to it, but it just adds a really good flavoring to the chicken. So I'm just going to put that all over the chicken along with some garlic as well, and that will just add a really good flavoring to this chicken. So I'm going to let those sit, and then I'm going to work on my side dish right now, which is apples. And so we like to, every once in a while, we'll just do regular cut apple slices. But this night I was going to do something a little bit extra, and I was actually going to cut up these apples and then cook them with a little bit of brown sugar and butter and vanilla and cinnamon. And it just is a nice flavor. We really like these in the fall, but this winter we're going to have them as well. And it's a really easy just side dish to have. Next up, I'm going to heat up some olive oil in my skillet here, and I'm going to let that sit for just a little bit so it gets all heated up. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to grab out these steak cut French fries. This is an easy side dish that we like to have every once in a while for our meals. I know this isn't the most nutritious meal, but it could be a lot worse. So this is just a really easy, simple meal that my family likes, and it only takes 30 minutes to put together. Once the oil is hot, then I'm going to add these chicken tenders in, or I don't know what you would call them, tenderloins, I guess, but it's just basically cut up chicken breast. And I'm just doing about 3 to 4 minutes on each side and letting that cook through. And then I will check the temperature. I always like to make sure that it's 165. And so I will take those off and then put them in a glass dish and continue cooking the chicken while the apples are cooking and the steak fries are in the oven as well. So the apples are done, and this is our final meal. It's these cooked apples with the chicken on the side and some steak fries, and then I added in some carrots and celery and hummus just to give it a little more nutrition, but that's a super simple meal that our family loves. For the second meal, we're going to make pot roast with potatoes and carrots cooked in the crock pot. So you do have to do this earlier in the day, but it only takes about 30 minutes of actual prep time to get it on the table. So I'm washing the potatoes here, and then I'm going to cut those up and add those to my crock pot. I'm also going to cut up some carrots and add those to the crock pot, and all of that will be cooking along with the roast beef throughout the day, and it's going to give it such a good flavor. Plus, you have a side cooking as well as the main meat, the main dish, so that makes it really nice, really good, especially on busy days when you don't have a whole lot of time to cook. Just pop this in the crock pot and then be ready to just take it out in the evening. I used to really struggle when it came to cooking pot roast, which is really sad because it's one of my husband's favorite meals to have. But what I've learned is that you have to season it really well. So garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper are some of my favorite things, or basic things that I have on hand. And then also using a chuck roast. That's really important that I get a chuck roast. I used to always not know what to get, and so I would just get all these different kinds of roast from the store, and I didn't know what to get, but what I've decided is that chuck roast is the best. It has that good fatty material and just keeps it moist and tender. And then the other thing that you have to do is you have to add liquid in order for it to not be tough. You want it to be a tender roast. So I use these beef flavored, I'm not even sure what they're called, but it's basically will make beef broth when you add the granules to hot water. So here I'm just mixing up the granules with the water, and then I'm gonna pour that over the roast and cover the roast so that it cooks all day long. When it's right before supper, I can take this out of the crock pot and I will go ahead and make a small gravy with just some flour and butter roux, and I'll use the broth that's from the crock pot. And then I cooked some green beans, just canned green beans on the side, just warmed them up really quickly. And then I also made some biscuits. You could use canned biscuits if you wanted. You could buy a package of rolls from the store if you wanted, and make this a really simple meal. The last meal I'm going to share today is also a chicken recipe, and it is one that my family has just started loving. I just started making it. I've done it a couple of times now, and the first thing that I do is I'm adding vinegar because I'm making some buttermilk here. So if you don't know, you can add 1 tablespoon of white vinegar and 1 cup of milk. Just let it sit for about a minute, and then you have buttermilk. So you don't have to go and purchase buttermilk if you don't already have that. So I use the buttermilk whenever I am marinating chicken, or just getting it to sit for a while. So again, this one you'll want to do earlier in the day, but if you have a little time in the morning or after lunch, you can get all of this prepared. So I'm adding in some seasonings, paprika, pepper, salt, garlic, and onion powder as well. So I'm going to mix all of that up, and then I'm going to cut up my chicken and put that in the bowl and just let that sit in the refrigerator. It's best to let it sit. You can just let it sit all day, or at least a half an hour beforehand. But then after I take it out of the refrigerator, then I'm going to dredge it in some flour. So now that it's supper time, basically about a half an hour before supper, I go and I turn on my skillet, trying to get it warm. I add in my oil. So I'm just using some basic canola oil here. I'm going to let that warm up, and I definitely want it to be thick, at least enough to get the chicken oil. You want it to be completely covered in the oil because we're making fried chicken sandwiches here, if I didn't already say that. So now that the oil is getting heated up, now I'm going to do my flour mixture. So again, I'm just adding flour and some regular seasonings, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, but I'm also adding baking powder. And I found that when I fry chicken, it really gives a good crisp layer when I add some baking powder to it. So I'm adding that. I'm going to dredge all of the chicken patties in this flour mixture and let it sit for a little while. I usually like to give it about 2 coats of the mixture, and then I will get it ready to go in the oil. The oil is hot enough, so I check the temperature. It needs to be over 300, close to 350 in order to cook the chicken well. So I'm going to test that, and then I'm going to add a couple of pieces of chicken at a time, and I cook it for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. And then when that is all done and I've cooked all of the chicken, I just add it to a bun. And so I like to add a pickle and mayo. These are really close to what you would get at like Chick-fil-A for their chicken sandwiches. My family likes to do just plain ketchup on theirs. I know some people like barbecue sauce, but you could do whatever you like. If you want to add lettuce and tomato even, or whatever your family likes, but you're going to do that. That's a really simple meal. And then I also just like to keep it super simple with my sides. In addition to the chicken sandwich, I'm also just adding in some strawberries, carrots and celery and hummus again, and some chips. So again, it's really simple, really easy, and family approved. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have another video with 8 more meals that are simple, ones that you can make for your family, and they are kid approved. So I will leave a link to that video below. Go ahead and watch that one if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and I would love for you to hit the like button if you liked the video. And if you haven't subscribed, my name is Emily. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. And I would love for you to subscribe here on my channel. I love to share homemaking encouragement as I balance all the things that comes with homemaking. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.